Good morning, children. Before that, Unit 6, Little Hero of Holland. This is supplementary. Then I just skip out and went for the other lesson, that is the Dying Detective. So I have to complete this. This is the 6th unit. Page number 183. It's a story. It's a simple story. A small boy bravely saved the country and its people. This is the story. This happens in Holland. Here, what are the characters in this? The Peter, the small boy. Peter's mother. And other public who are all residing there. Clear? The country, the Holland, it was very low then, nearer to the sea level. Suppose if the rains have come, certainly the city should be flooded with water. Okay. So, only thing which is protected the city from the flood water means dikes. What are the dikes? Dikes are nothing else. These are the characters. Dikes, which are huge walls, which prevents the sea water to enter into the city. So, one day what has happened? Everybody, even from the small children to old people till adult, everybody knows the seriousness of the dike. Suppose everybody, whoever going by the side, they used to watch the dikes. Is there anything, any crack or any holes like that? So the same like one day Peter, he went to see his friend. His friend is a blind man. Peter's friend is first character Peter, his mother. Third one is the blind man. And the public, the people which are not related to us. One day what has happened, as usual, the Peter, he used to play with his friend whenever the things has happened, whenever mother has made anything, he used to give it to his friend. The same like his mother ordered him to give the food and come back soon because it's a rainy season. So the boy also went. He saw, while returning from there, he saw that there is a small hole in that dike, small hole. Even if he is leaving, the water enters through the small hole and the entire city may be vanished. So that's why what he said, he shouted for the help, no one has come to the help. So he was using his thumb finger and cover the hole, and thus he prevents the water enter into the city. He covers the hole with his finger and thus he is preventing the water entering into the city. Then his mother searched. No, she doesn't know what happened to the boy. She was searching for that. She was planning to come out. In the meantime, a passenger, person who was passed by that side, hearing the shout of Peter, and he came for the help. Then after that public rest, before the public rest came to the help, the boy has fainted. Till last, he bravely saved the country. So he is known as the hero of Holland, because he saved the country. Shall we go to the lesson? It's in page number 183. Holland is a country where much of the land lies below the sea level. That is below sea level. That is sea and land both are together. Even just little water raises, it's enough for the sea to enter into the city. Only great walls called dikes keep the North Sea from rushing in the flooding of the land. Flood, you know the meaning. For centuries, the people of Holland have worked to keep the walls strong so that their country will be safe and dry. Because the walls are very strong. North Sea. What sea is flowing there? North Sea flowing there. North Sea flows in Holland. Even the little children know the dikes must be watched every moment, and that a hole no longer than your finger can be very dangerous thing. Which is very dangerous? A hole which is not even a finger size. Small hole, just dot the hole. So everybody should be careful, even from the small children to big adult. Many years ago, they lived in Holland a boy named Peter. Peter's father was one of the men who tended the gates in the dikes. So Peter mother, and Peter's father also. What's the work of his father? Is tending the dikes. Tending means what? Taking care of the dikes. taking care of dikes. He opened and closed the sluices, otherwise the dikes are known as sluices. S-L-U-I-C-E-S. What's the duty of the father, Peter's father? Opening the dikes and closing the dikes. So that the ship could pass out of the Holland canals into the Great Sea. One afternoon in the early fall, when Peter was 8 years old, this boy was how many years old? When the story has happened, when he was 8 years old. This is small, that's why we are saying a little hero of Holland. His mother called him from his play. He was playing with his friends. His mother called him. Come, Peter, she said. I want you to go across the dike and take these cakes to your friend, the blind man. Who is his friend? Blind man. Who is he? Where is he? He's across the sea. Across the sea means he has to move. The sea is in middle. This side Holland. Opposite side what is there? The blind man is. Blind man is there only. It was, if you go quickly and do not stop to play, you will be home again before dark. Mother said, before dark you have to come. Don't see on the way here and there. Just give the cakes and then come because it's rainy season. The little boy was glad to go on such an errand and started off with a light heart. He was very happy because he's going to meet his friend who doesn't have eyes, is a blind man. He stayed with the poor blind man a little while to tell him about his walk along the dike and about the sun and the flowers and the ships far out of the sea. Because he could not enjoy the beauty of the nature. Who? The blind man. So, Peter explained him about all the things he has seen, how the sun is, how the flowers, how the ship, everything he explained to him. Then he remembered the mother's wish that he should return before dark, and bidding his friend goodbye, he set out for home. Then he started, he said goodbye to him and came back. As he walked beside the canal, you know, that is Kalvi we used to say in Tamil, he noticed how the rains had swollen the waters and how they beat against the side of the dike, and he thought his father's gates. So, raining, it started slightly raining. Then how it was, when the rainwater comes, it clashes on the dikes very fastly. Clashes means what? Beats. I am glad they are strong, he said to himself. If they gave way, what would become of us? These pretty fields would be covered with water. Father always called them angry waters. The North Sea water, his father used to say angry waters. Because always they are dashing on the dikes. Suppose if the dikes give the place for the angry water, it enters into the land and spoils all the surroundings, that is field, everything. Field, you know, where the agriculture is taken place. As he walked along, he sometimes stopped and picked the pretty blue flowers that grew beside the road, or to listen the rabbits' soft treat as they rustled through the grass. So while coming from the, used to pluck the flowers, or else rabbits, they are walking on the rustling leaves. Dried leaves are the, If you are walking on the dried leaves, in the kanjipona elengen solram paranga adu. If you are walking on that, you could hear the sound. That sound is known as what? Rustling. The kanjipunayil ஒரு போல sound கொடுக்கும். That is known as what? Rustling of the leaves and rustling of the rabbits. He thought of his visit to the poor blind man who had so few pleasures and was always so glad to see him. The blind man was waiting for Peter. On seeing the Peter, he was very happy. Suddenly he noticed that the sun was setting and that it was growing dark. It becomes dark now. What is mother said? Come before dark. Mother will be watching for me, he thought, and he began to run towards the home. Before that he was walking, and seeing the setting of sun, he started to run. Just then he heard a noise. It was the sound of trickling water. He stopped and looked down. There was a small hole in the dike through which a tiny stream of water flowing. What is the small hole? Any child in Holland is frightened at the thought of leak in the dike. Everybody knows if the leak is there, certainly what should be there? There should be a flood in the city. Peter understood the danger at once. If the water ran through a little hole, it would soon make a larger one. A small hole may become a larger because of forcing of water. The water dashes on the hole and makes the hole somewhat bigger. And then whole country would be flooded. If the hole has become bigger, what is the next consequence? The country will be flooded with water. The people will be washed away by the water. In a moment he saw what he must do. Throwing away his flask, he climbed down the side of the dike and thrust his finger into the tiny hole. Immediately through the flows far away, he lie down. Lie down means what? Because dike hole, down only the hole is. So he was lie down and just use his thumb to close the hole. Oh, he said to himself, the angry waters must stay back now. I can keep them back with my finger. Holland shall not be drowned while I am here. What he said, if I am alive, I may not let the water enter into the city. This was all very well at first, but soon it grew dark and cold. It was okay, very beginning it's okay, he was interestedly doing. After that it becomes very dark. The little fellow shouted and screamed, come here, he called. But no one heard him, no one came to help. He shouted, no one has come for the help. It grew still colder, and his arm ached and began to grow stiff and numb. Ache means what? It becomes very dark. Even it becomes 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, like it is. Because he's keeping the hole like that, he got pain in the finger. Ache means what? Headache, you are saying no. Stomach ache, headache, stomach pain, ache, pain, both are same thing. Because he's holding the whole finger for so many hours together, he has what? He has felt pain in the finger. And it becomes numb because it was in the water. So if he is soaking in the water for so many hours, what will happen? We seem numbed. There is no sense in our finger. Like that, his finger has become numbed and he doesn't feel any sense in that. He shouted again, will no one come? Mother, mother, he shouted. But his mother had looked anxiously along the dike road many times since sunset for a little boy. Mother was seeing from home itself. She is looking at the road and then to the side, looking at the road and then to the side like that. She passed the time. And now she had closed and locked the cottage door. Finally, she has decided, no more use of waiting from here itself. Better we'll go and search. She closed the cottage door and she started to move, thinking that Peter was spending the night with his blind friend and that she would scold him in the morning for staying away from home without permission. So she thought, so next day morning, he has to stay away from the house because he's not at all getting permission. She thought like that. The boy was spending the time with the blind man. She doesn't know actually what has happened to the boy. Peter tried to whistle, but his teeth chattered with the cold. He was shouting, he was making to think. Because of bitter cold, his lips were closed. He cannot make the sound. He thought of his brother and sister in the warm beds. His brother and sister, they were in the warm beds. They were sleeping under his mother's control. And of his dear father and mother. He thought that is the last day for him. And he was thinking about his brother, sister, father and mother. I must not let them be drowned, he thought. Okay, he decided whether let me die also, but my parents should not be affected and other people in the Holland should not be affected. He wants to stay all night. The moon and stars looked down on the slide, crouching on the stone on the side of the dike. His head was bent and his eyes were closed. His head was bent means what? Thala saanji podum solram parang like that. Eyes and all closed. But he was not asleep. Though he is losing his conscience, he was still holding the dike pole. For every now and then he rubbed the hand that was holding back the angry sea. Every time he was rubbing and holding back. I will stand it somehow, he thought. So he stayed there all night keeping the sea out. Early the next morning, it is happening in the evening before 5 o'clock. Next morning only a man was passed by that side. Going to work, thought a head of groan as he walked along the top of the dike. Groan means a sound. Looking over the edge, he saw a child clinging to the side of the great wall. He just saw the child was sleeping down, falling down. Then he asked, what's the matter, he called. Are you hurt? He asked the boy. Who? The man who is passing by that side, he asked, is there anything wrong to you? He said, I am keeping the water back. Peter healed. He shouted, he's not at all sleeping. He said, Suppose if he sleeps, he may take away the water from the hole. He take away the finger from the hole. So he was not at all sleeping. He was holding and he said, I am keeping the water back. Tell them to come quickly. Someone asked the people to come quickly. The alarm was spread. The message was spread. People came running towards the shawls and the hole was soon mended. What are the instruments they need? What are the weapons? They were taken away all the weapons and immediately it was repaired. Mended means what? Repaired. They carried Peter to his parents and before long the whole town knew how he had saved their lives that night. Then before he reached the parent, the news spread to the whole Holland and all the people thanked him and they considered him as the hero of their city. To this day, they have never forgotten the brave little hero of Holland. Till now, they were thinking about him. Clear? This is by Mary Mapes Dodge. She was an American children's editor and author, best known for the novel Hans Brinker. Okay? Clear, children? Only the characters, only few characters I said. Peter, Peter's mother, father, blind man and public. Then who are all the others with Peter? His brother and sister. Then where the thing has happened in Holland. Holland is, the city is lower than the sea, nearer the sea. What sea is there? North Sea. There are dikes to support the flood water to enter into the city. Even a small thing has happened, small hole has happened, easily the water may spread into that. Peter, he saw the hole and he saved the country from evening till next day morning till the help arrived. So he was known as hero of Holland. Okay? Now simple things. What are the things? Anyhow, you got the guides for learning. At least identify the characters you see. I want you to go across the dike and take these cakes to your friend, the blind man. Who said? Peter's mother. Peter's mother. She only gave the cakes. No. Peter's mother. Second one, question and answers you have to go through from your guides. I am glad they are so strong. Who said? Peter. Here, they are so strong means, what does it mean by that? The dikes, the walls of the side. Holland shall not be drowned while I am here. This also said by whom? Peter. What's the matter, he called. Are you hurt? Who asked? A man who passed by that side. The next day morning, a man who passed by. And the last one, tell them to come quickly. Who said? Peter. So question and answers go through. Then what are the things I have completed? Already Premlata is completed 2 lessons. First unit. From second units onward, I think I have taken till 6th over. 7th one, the dying detective also, it's clear. Now next one is The House on Hem Street. It's a poem, imaginary poem, a dilemma. Both are there. Let us continue in other class, children. Just go through the question and answers if you want. Just go through once. Whatever possible. Any other doubt you can ask me. What are the little children of Holland aware of? They are aware of the dikes. What was the work assigned to Peter's father? Opening and closing the gate. Why did Peter's mother call him? Peter's mother called him to give the cakes. It doesn't mean that you have to learn the guide statement as it is. If you are good in English, you can write. So first subject, the Peter's mother called him. What for she called him? To give the cakes. You can write up short answers also. But the sentence should be correct. How did Peter spend his time with his blind friend? He was playing with him. He was explaining the beauty of the nature. Why did the father always say angry waters? Why he said like that? Because the water is always rushing on the dike very angrily. What did Peter see when he stopped near the dikes? He saw a small hole. That water rushes to the small hole. What were the thoughts of the mother when Peter did not return home? She thought he may be playing with his friend. Okay, children, we'll see the question and answers we have just discussed. Can you better go through? If you want, you can make the answers short also. Thank you.